Have you ever asked yourself the question, why is Islam protected throughout the world, everywhere, every country you go to, but Christianity and Judaism, that's not the case? How did Islam become protected worldwide? What caused that? And is that right for the other religions that exist? Without further ado, how are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are doing great, and I hope you guys are doing well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we get started, you know the drill on this channel. We drop a like on the video, we subscribe if you are new, and we hit the bell notification. But let's get started with today's video. This is a reaction video from some other guy's channel. I am reacting to both videos right now, so I'm doing a double reaction in a sort of way. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time. Let's go and let's get it.
How did that happen? The evolution of where Christianity went, hey, the Judeo-Christian, the great nation, America,
Yes.
look at the values and principles that we have. Where did the fall happen?
I encourage anybody to find me a Netflix, Amazon, or Hulu documentary or film in the last 10 years that portrays someone that is a Christian in a positive light.
Ruslan.
Yeah, that's
This is
true.
Patrick with David, Valuetainment. They had Charlie Kirk on. I've never met Charlie Kirk. I'm friendly with some of the folks from his organization. And I would like to have a conversation with them as well. But let's check this out.
Sports teams will say, hey, you have to
Christianity
be a
has
little
not
more
been
understanding about the
put in a
Muslim religion of
positive way
Christianity
for a
than
long
you.
time.
So how did that
That's
happen?
very true.
The evolution of where Christianity went, hey, the Judeo-Christian, the great nation, America,
Yes.
look at the values and principles that we have. Where did the fall happen?
Boy, that's a powerful question. It's hard to pinpoint a certain year, but there are certain
So the question is, when did this happen with regards to Christianity no longer being a religion that people got to respect? Now, I have a very specific point that I'll save about when this happened and why it happened. But let's listen to what Charlie Kirk here says.
certainly an era in the 60s. and
Yeah, I
70s,
also have my own
these
time
revolutionaries
of when
took
this
control of a lot of
happened.
institutions, and the zeitgeist, the spirit of the time.
I think everybody has their own
changed.
timeline on when
I encourage
Christianity
anybody to
changed.
find me a Netflix, Amazon, or Hulu documentary or film in the last 10 years that portrays someone that is a Christian in a positive light.
Well, we got Jesus Revolution now. That just hit streaming platforms. I think.
Have
that
you, have you
portrays
seen
very
that?
positive.
If you haven't seen that, please go check that out. Jesus Revolution. Go check that movie out.
Came out, and he said, "Hey guys, why is it the pastor always has to be like the abuser or the embezzler or the?" And you think
There was a gentleman from The Office that came out and said that, right?
about the archetype, right? The archetype is if you see a Bible in an Amazon film, you almost can assure that that person is going to be a villain or, at the very least, a hypocrite. Rarely is that the person that
Yeah, that's
is
true.
acting ethically,
That's
acting
true.
morally, and that's a
That's
complete
true.
change. And it's done rather
Most of the villains on TV right now have
there's
Bibles
a couple
in their
things I
hand.
probably disagree with Charlie on, but I mean, he's kind of dropping some facts right now.
in our culture. And so, but here's the thing: kind of the post 60s worldview, the moral view that came in the post 60s, and it didn't really set in until now. It took 60 years. Is hyper individualism. And I'm all for entrepreneurship and for people to succeed, but you must balance that. You must counterbalance it with duty and obligations. If it's all about just the pursuit of your own pleasures and your own delights, you will be not just empty, I think you're going to be miserable. And so we build an entire society, I think, on this very dangerous moral pretext. And we wonder why we have the most depressed, suicidal, anxious generation in history. I totally sympathize with every accusation of American Christianity that you could imagine. They could be hypocritical. Their churches are too big. They don't give enough to the poor. I think some of that is a little silly.
They don't give enough to the poor.
Some of that is silly and
is
some of that is
true.
not true. Christians give like way more.
Way more than who?
Non-Christians to charities, adopting babies, and all kinds of stuff.
Fact that as we have
Not more as
American
Muslims.
Christianity,
Not like
the roots
Muslims.
of it, that we are less free.
Not like
we are
Muslims.
more
How many
confused,
schools
and we are
do
filling it
Muslims
with these
have
other fake
that
religions
take
we
offense,
talk about? The religion
that
of
feed the
anti-racism,
poor?
the religion of scientism,
How many do
right?
Christians
Even
have
the
throughout the
religion of
world?
science, which is
Think
hyper-
about it.
Global warming.
Yeah, environmentalism. And so there's a great book by Tom Holland. He calls it Dominion. It's not a great title, but Holland with an E. But yeah, it's how Christians revolutionized the world. I encourage everyone to read it. And he's actually a secular agnostic who argues that what we consider to be common sense, what we consider to be normal,
That's good.
is a traditional inheritance from the Christian history. And you might not like Christianity, you might not believe Jesus is the king of the world. I do. But you should at least accept that if you remove Christianity as the bedrock of your civilization, be careful what you fill it with, because currently we're filling it with garbage.
Yeah, so a couple things based on what you just said. One, I saw Andrew Schultz the other day. You know Andrew Schultz, the comedian. I don't know if you're familiar with Andrew Schultz.
Familiar,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's to me, I think he's one of the most talented comedians. I can watch his clips on replay, and the guy makes me laugh over and over again. There's only a couple guys that make me do that.
I've probably seen his clips. I just
He,
might not
he, you,
connect
you,
it.
Shout out to Andrew Schultz, man. really appreciate, one, some of his takes, even though they're vulgar. Don't come for me in the comments. And I appreciate him being open about wanting to go to church and, going to church.
And that is not his brand.
Faith.
That is not his brand. He's not a church type of guy and all of that.
He said
So
the other day, he went to
that's
church.
a real encounter that
He
he
said he went
had.
to church the other day. He says in the first 3 minutes of being in church, he started crying. That's not his brand at all. Andrew Schultz's brand is not to say
wasn't a
that.
joke.
Yeah.
No, this was not a joke. He was being serious about it, right? Now, if you go to the Justin Bieber story, and we can go to Hillsdale, not Hillsdale, but Hillsong and all
And
that stuff.
I saw
Australia.
that firsthand. I saw a lot of it.
Yeah, so a lot of that, the challenge then becomes also to say sometimes it's overly judgmental on who's going to be the Christian to help bring the brand. And,
Yeah, that was
bring
not
others
true. The
towards
whole
it. There's a
Justin
challenge
Bieber
with
being
that as well.
Christian thing,
But,
that was
for
just
me,
a
I saw
marketing
Wall Street Journal's
campaign.
article recently came out with values. I'm sure you
The
saw that as
collapse
well.
of American values,
The collapse of the
where
American values.
Patriotism,
That's
community
right.
involvement, having children, and going to church have just descended in meaning.
But money is up.
Money is up.
Yeah.
And that's that hyper individualism.
That's what you were talking
And
about, yeah.
again, I'm a
But that was
capitalist. I think
prophesied though, that
markets
people
work,
would worship
but they
money
must
more than
be
anything
harmony
else.
with
Family,
other
whatever,
duties
children, they
that
would put
make
that to the
money
side for money.
meaningful. Otherwise, it's just nothing more
prophesied.
than pleasure or things that will erode in dust. So it must point towards something. You must aim high. That was the Western ideal, right?
Hey, you want to see something crazy? 67% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed.
Yeah,
Do me a quick
mine
favor,
too, bruh.
make sure you hit that subscribe button so you stay up to
Subscribe.
date on all the videos here on the Blessed
Not just
Gospel
on
News
his channel, my
A lot
channel
of
as well.
people who are Christians will go and they'll go in a community that's safe and they'll talk to one another where it's a safe place. Whereas Muslims will go out there and they'll baptize and they'll convert. Where, if you look at the two and you'll say, well, one is quiet about it, the other one's being bold about it. One is advertising why he is, the other one is not. But at the same time, the media will defend Muslim, but the media will not
that's the
defend
reason why.
Christianity.
The media. So he says the media will defend Islam and not Christianity. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys why I think that is here in a second.
Sports teams will say, hey, you have to be a little bit more
It's a
understanding
respected
about the Muslim
religion.
about
That's why it's
Christianity, they can't be
protected.
shot. So how did
What
that
can you
happen?
say about Islam that's
So the
bad?
media will. Okay. So here's what I know to be true. I remember the shift happened, and whether good or bad, I remember the shift happened around the time of 9/11. I remember there was kids at my school.
Yeah, there was a big shift
who weren't
around
even
9/11.
practicing, but they definitely were being treated different because of
Yeah.
9/11. And after that, people were extremely more sensitive and delicate with Islam because there was an uptick in what you would call, I guess, Islamophobia, right?
And after
At the
that
time.
9/11 thing,
I remember
remember
seeing stuff in New York.
a
And
lot
I
of
think in that
movies and
process,
series and
what
whatever
happened
was portraying
Islam
Muslims as
got
people who were very
categorized as a
violent and
protected
very,
class.
very
And there's certain
attacking towards
groups
Americans.
that get protected class status where you cannot be as critical towards them. LGTB, Transformers, right? And this is in the YouTube community guidelines. This is why someone like David Wood had to create multiple channels. David Wood going hard is sometimes necessary, right? And so in that, he had to create multiple channels to spread out the attention that he was getting and give his main channel away to a Christian apologist who used to be Muslim, young lady from Europe. She's awesome. And so I think the crux of this, in terms of everything Charlie said, I think this happened after 9/11, that this community became a protected class, and because it became a protected class, you couldn't be as critical. Whereas with Christianity, it's still viewed, even though it isn't, in my opinion, it is still viewed, and remember, perception is reality, as the dominant faith. And I think
It
that's
cannot
changing. I
be
think
the dominant faith right
is
now, though.
fringe leftism in the West, where we're defying what
It's
is
a watered
objective,
down dominant
objectively
faith.
true.
Watered
we're
down. It's
defying
not the same anymore.
What is biological, right? All that stuff. We're defying all these things, and I think that is actually the dominant view. I think Christianity has become, like, actual biblical worldview. Christianity is becoming less and less. And Jaden, yeah, you're right. The
Exactly.
overlap between leftism and New Ageism is there for sure. It's a lot of the I'm spiritual but not religious. I want the idea of being spiritual and having a spirituality, but I don't want any of the accountability. It's my truth versus the truth. I am a part of the. I have a moral ground, and I morally grandstand against ideas I don't agree with, but those are not allowed to be challenged, right? So if you listen to, like, progressive Christians, or you listen to folks from the leftist side, they will have objective morals, like objective morals. Like listen to Brandon Robertson's conversation with Jeff Durbin and James White. He will make absolutely moral statements, just they're the inverse of what the Bible says, right? So it's just ironic that Christianity is viewed as a dominant view, even though it isn't, and therefore it doesn't have any of the protections, right? That Islam has.
How can you protect something that is not respected? Christianity cannot be respectable right now.
In regards to that. And so I think that is specifically why with that religion, why they have this protective status, is because of the real life issues they were dealing with, right? And by the way, I don't care what you believe. I don't care if you're part of the Transformers community. I don't care if you're what religion you are. I don't think anybody should be bullied or beaten or attacked for their views at all.
True.
Like,
that's true.
I think most Christians agree. Don't attack people for their views. Don't attack people for their positions. Don't attack people for their identity, regardless of what that is. That's a very sensible position.
Yeah.
I think when groups who are marginalized get attacked, they will tend to overcorrect, and when they gain a little bit of power, they will weaponize it against the folks that attacked them once upon a time. I think that's what happens. And I think it's unfortunate. The hard part is if you don't have Jesus, I'm not saying it's right, I'm saying I understand. The hard part is when you don't have Jesus and then you get a little power, what do you want to do? You want to poke your chest out. So there was people that were brutalized in the name of Jesus by people who I don't think were Christians. And then the people who were brutalized now got a little bit of power, got a little influence, got a little clout. What you think they're going to do? They're going to stick their chest out. They're going to, right? Not saying it's right, but I'm saying I understand
it's only
how
natural.
these things
It's a
happen.
natural
So
thing.
what is the point? I think the point is for us as Christians, we got to be living out this gospel. We got to be living out this love your enemies aspect. We got to be, right?
But
We
you're
have to
not
live
living
this
it
out
though.
in a way where people may disagree with the Messiah we worship, but our daily lives are at least consistent and congruent with the things we profess. If we profess that we're born again, if we profess that we're to love our neighbor as ourselves, if we profess that Jesus is the way, the truth, and life, if we profess that we are to care for the least of these, if we are profess, at least if our lives line up, then you can not be dismissed as a hypocrite and say, well, you know what? I don't agree about their God, and I don't agree their views on Christian sex ethic and all these things,
not agree,
but
it's true.
I
You are not
respect
living
that
the
they're at least
life.
consistent. I respect, because what is the worst thing you can be in the eyes of a non-believer? A hypocrite. When they could point to an area of your life and say, yeah, you claim this, but you live this way. That's a bad look, man. Right? So I think we need to make sure that we're being consistent and cohesive and in line with the things we proclaim to be, or what are we doing? Right? What are we doing?
Man? You know what I like about this guy, what he said? He said that he respects Islam. At least he respects the lifestyle. At least he respects the values that Islam has. And that is exactly why Islam is protected throughout the world. Hey, let me make you an example. If you go to airports, some airports have little mosques in them. You know, a little mosque in there for you to go and pray. Many hospitals nowadays have mosques in them. They have a little mosque for you to go and pray. Christians used to have those in every hospital. There used to be a room that looks like a church, you know, with a cross and everything, where you could go and pray in a hospital. But right now, you only find those in private hospitals, the fancy private hospitals. So things have changed now. Christianity has taken a back burner, has taken a back door, instead of it taking the forefront. Islam right now is saying, we are going to protect our religion. We are going to make sure that our religion and the people who believe in our religion are protected. Money circulates within Islam. The clothes of Islam, you buy them from somebody who is a Muslim. The jewelry, if you're going to get married, you buy from somebody who is a Muslim. You're going to get married, you need a caterer, you need, you know, somebody who's going to set the theme for the event. You hire somebody who is a Muslim. Everything circulates around them. They are protecting their religion, ensuring that nothing infiltrates their religion. Not many of them are on YouTube. Most Muslims are not on YouTube. Most Muslims are not on social media. Most Muslims are not watching Netflix. Most Muslims are not watching TV. Why? They don't want to infiltrate their religion, their own minds, with a lot of devious things. And that is why Islam is protected till this day. Christianity right now, there's many movies that are out. If you can watch them, you would see exactly what we are talking about. that Christianity has lost its sense of morals, has lost its sense of being and its way of life. The lifestyle of a Christian right now is typical from a lifestyle of a non-believer, and that is why Islam is more attractive than Christianity. I don't know what's your take on this video. I don't know what's your take on what was said. So please do me a favor, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and hit the bell notification. Don't forget to leave a comment and tell us your take. Tell us what you feel about everything that was said in this video. But without further ado, let me love and leave you. Much love. Peace.